In 1648, the residents of Beijing's inner city, they got an ultimatum. Dismantle your house, rebuild it elsewhere, or get government compensation. No matter what, you will have to go. This was the beginning of a segregation of the capital that lasted 264 years. As you can see in this map on the wall, the inner city of Beijing was now known as the Manchu city. The people that lived up here predominantly belonged to the Manchu army. They were paid by the government, so they did actually not have to do anything to sustain themselves. What we are going to explore is, what did this segregation mean to Beijing? What kind of heritage has it left behind? When we think about old Beijing today, many people, they think about the lazy vibe of the Hutongs. And actually, the way of living in the Hutongs has a direct connection with the Qing dynasty and the Manchus living in the inner city. When in 1872, a reporter of the Illustrated London News, he visited the city of Beijing. He said that the city felt like a city of pensioners that actually didn't really have anything to do but cultivate all kinds of hobbies. According to him, then people would in the streets of Beijing walk around with their birds in cages, just like Westerners would walk their dogs. And one of the most interesting pieces of Manchu heritage we have today are actually these hobbies. Many of the games you will see played in the parks, even today, they actually have a direct relation with the pensioners of the state that used to reside in the inner city. Maybe the most important thing that defined Manchu identity was the relation they had to their horses. And standing here, deep inside the inner city, outside the gate of a former Manchu noble family, you can see that we actually have these stones here that actually is called ascent the horse stones. They are small staircases from where the people of this courtyard, they would ascend their horses. Another thing where the Manchus did not look like or behave like the Han Chinese at all, were when it came to their women. The Han Chinese women you barely saw in the streets. They had bound feet and they were locked away deep inside the courtyards. But the Manchus, that was different. In 1899, when Eliza Sitmore, she visited Beijing, she was completely taken by the Manchu women. She felt that the Manchu women she saw had a kind of pride in them that she never saw in any Chinese woman. The same thing was noted by Korean intellectuals in the 1700s. They were just not that impressed. They found it incredibly vulgar to see the Manchu women in the street and even riding horses. The Qing dynasty ruling system was remarkably efficient. For more than 200 years did the Manchus rule China. But in the end, then the system started to fall apart because of rebellions and because of corruption. So many people, and not least the politicians, started to point to the Manchus as where the root of many Chinese problems lay. So when the last emperor, he finally abdicated in 1912, then many former imperial possessions became public spaces like the coal hill where we are standing now. And right in here, you in 1930 placed this stone. And what the inscription is saying here is that this was where the last Ming Dynasty emperor, he killed himself. Allegedly, he hung himself from the tree up here, and the inscription that you can find in translation just down the road over here says that this very spot was where the last Ming Dynasty emperor, he died for his country.